in prayer. Heavenly Father, we thank you and praise you for our time together this evening. As we come together to do the business of DD2, Lord, we pray that your presence would be with us. You would provide us with discernment and wisdom, knowledge, with the attitude and the spirit to address things as we need to, with candor and transparency, as well as, Lord, with always considering the reason that we're here, to drive for the best outcomes for our children as a DD2 board. Lord, just bless our time together. We pray for your discernment and wisdom with us. I ask this in Jesus' name. Amen. And join me for the pledge.
Good evening and welcome to the August 24th, 2026 Dorchester District 2 Board of Trustees meeting. At this time, we will call the meeting to order, and I would ask for a motion to approve the consent agenda and meeting minutes.
So moved.
Motion made by Mr. Guthrie, seconded by Ms. Powell. Any questions or discussion? Hearing none, we will call for the vote.
I am not receiving that.
Okay. Signed in.
Yeah.
All right. We'll just do a hand vote. All in favor?
I'm not getting it.
Okay. Motion carries 7 in favor.
I'm going to reset mine.
Okay.
You can keep going.
All right. Apologize. We are still working through our new meeting platform, and so just be patient with us as we figure out some of the logistics of that. All right, we will continue with our agenda. Next item on our agenda is our district highlights, and we will turn it over to Mr. Brian Bohannon.
Thank you, Dr. Wimberly, Mr. Doherty, board members. Just one highlight tonight, but it's a great one. And to present, I'm going to turn it over to our Director of Elementary Schools, Ms. Carrie Ball-Hodge.
All right. Good evening, guys. Good evening, Dr. Wimberly, Mr. Doherty, and members of the board. It is my privilege tonight to recognize Windsor Hill Arts Infused Elementary School for earning the prestigious National PTA School of Excellence designation. Windsor Hill is one of only 2 schools in South Carolina to receive this designation. That is quite an honor. That's so impressive, guys. This year, the National PTA recognized more than 300 PTAs in schools nationwide with this 2-year designation for outstanding family school partnerships that support student success. This recognition, is especially meaningful because it marks the first year after many years, I think after COVID, that the PTA has been led entirely by parents versus teachers. So this is such a huge accomplishment, and it's happened under the leadership, of course, of the previous principal, Mr. Robert Nooner, and Mr. Dugan, who I know is going to be joining us in a minute, and our PTA president, Ms. Paula Ketter, and their commitment to their family engagement has already earned this awesome recognition. So please join me in congratulating Windsor Hills PTA, faculty and staff, students, families, and their entire school community for this outstanding achievement. Come on down.
Congratulations once again. This concludes tonight's district highlights.
All right, thank you, Mr. Bohannon. All right, next item on our agenda this evening is our public comments on agenda items, and we have one, Mr. Jason Brockert.
All day. You know what? I'm not going to be able to carry that very far, but what I want to talk about is tonight's policy committee meeting remarks will likely include more of the same dry, detail devoid passage of approvals like we saw on June 22nd. And it's odd that I have to keep coming back up for the same things. But when we talk about the policy committee and how the policies are supposed to be reviewed and approved and go through the normal process, including community input, insanity would be doing the same thing and expecting a different result. So I can't just come up here and do the same thing every time. I'm expecting the same result, though. The result is transparency and accountability. So maybe I can make this a little bit more digestible. I would like for you to add to your board agenda a section where you, as a committee of the whole, can respond to public comments, because that's just appropriate, that's transparent, rather than making it seem like an empty void. I'd like for you to put the October 2025 town hall on the website, as you were supposed to do almost a year ago. Maybe hold another town hall. That would be transparent. Back to the policy committee. Please bring the bullying policies back up for review, as you said you could on June 22nd, after being told that there were things wrong with it. And here we are in August, it's almost September, and the bullying policies as passed in June have remained the same with their flaws. So I'm not really sure how I'm supposed to get up here and try to get the same result. I can't keep doing the same thing. But it is an election year for some of you, right? Maybe think about those things with your platforms. Students first, maybe. Teachers second. Administration dead last. You all have it backwards. Maybe get your priorities straight. Maybe actually practice transparency instead of touting transparency. Maybe we'll hear something more of substance from the policy committee.
Thank you, Mr. Brockert. All right, the next item on our agenda is our board committee reports, and we will begin with our policy committee. Ms. Bates?
Thank you, Madam Chair. We have several policies up for first reading today. Those policies are as follows. GBEBDA, criminal record checks. GCAC, hiring independent contractors and consultants, recommended for deletion. GCAC, the rule, hiring independent contractor or consultants, recommended for deletion. GCBD, professional staff fringe benefits. GCNA, supervision of instructional staff. And GBD, support staff and contracts and compensation. And then also, is there a number or a letter? Is Ms. Graham around? Okay. Perfect. I just wanted to make sure I wasn't missing it. And then we do have a new policy on district proprietary security license and department. And that is what I have for you today, Madam Chair.
All right, thank you, Ms. Bates. As these are coming out of committee, we do not need a second. So at this time, I would ask if there are any questions or discussion.
Madam Chair, and very quickly, I just want to point out to the folks that are watching in the public, it's important to note that the work of committees, what happens behind the scenes and specific to policy, is where the district hears public input. And having been to quite a few of your committee meetings, of course, facilities committee meetings, that's where kind of the rubber hits the road. And so when folks have concerns, if they have communication issues, if they have things that need to be looked at, that's the time to do that. And so again, I just want to say I appreciate the work of the policy committee because I know you do a lot of work behind the scenes, that when you present policies to the full board, that it has been thoroughly vetted by the committee as well as by the district. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Farnsworth. Any other questions or comments? All right, at this time, we will call for the vote. Okay, motion carries 7 in favor.
And then, Madam Chair, I just wanted to remind the audience of our upcoming meetings. As you can see, they are notated above, and they will also be posted online. Again, as Mr. Farnsworth said, this is an appropriate time to bring your questions, your concerns, and also hear those as they go through committee and are discussed more in depth. And I appreciate that, and I appreciate the public to come and participate in those meetings. And that's all I have for today.
All right, thank you, Ms. Bates. Next, we have our Finance Committee, Mr. Lee.
Thank you. So from a Finance Committee standpoint, we did meet before the meeting this evening. I appreciate what Mr. Farnsworth had to say. That is where we are open and would love to hear from folks if they have any questions or comments about what happens within the Finance Committee. In fact, I was admonished by some of my colleagues because they keep asking for any other comments and they want to move on. But that's where a lot of it takes place. So in the Finance Committee meeting, we talked a bit about some of the business that will be considered by the board this evening with regard to finance. A couple of approvals for some awards of contracts and whatnot, as well as some consideration for some financial vehicles to be able to fund capital needs that we have. And it was a very good conversation. If you did not attend that, I encourage you to go back and watch it, because you can see and hear a lot more of the sausage making as it relates to finance than you might see or hear in this meeting. We will be considering this evening both an award regarding who provides our financial services, as well as approval to move forward with a bond in order to fund some of our immediate capital needs. This has nothing to do with the list of capital needs that were provided for the County Council in their decision to put on the ballot in November consideration of the 1% education capital sales tax. There will be a lot more conversation about that. And what you will hear from the Finance Committee and what you will hear from members of the board is factual information about what that is. But it's going to be up to you, the citizens, to get informed, to ask questions, to make up your mind come November. And I encourage you to get informed and ask questions. We are transparent, we are open, and I, for one, would love to have you show up at other Finance Committees meetings and ask those questions. Any of the members, Spates? Mr. Guthrie? Very good.
All
Go
right.
ahead, ma'am.
Appreciate the update. Thank you, Mr. Lee. Okay, next we have our Facilities Committee, Mr. Farnsworth.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Facilities Committee did meet earlier this afternoon. We will have more of a report from our facilities team later in the meeting tonight. A lot of stuff happening facilities-wise, and I will tell you, I think one of the good conversations, and I echo Mr. Lee, for folks who really want to go back and kind of get the meat and potatoes of the work of the board, one of the really good conversations is about funding as far as capital improvements and how those different funding mechanisms work, where, you know, we have a master list of projects. I think we've talked about it's probably upwards of $700 million. So if we were to go through the entire district's needs when it comes to facilities, you're looking at a list of $700 million plus. And so you can imagine trying to go through that list and prioritize what needs to be done now. You know, when you look at student safety, student security, comfort, education, like all these different pieces, and we have some just amazing folks in our facilities group that looks at that. So I want to say thank you to them, but again, please go back and watch those facility committee meetings, because again, that's where a lot of the detail comes out. And then you can see we've got our upcoming meetings for September, October, and December. So that's all I had. Ms. Powell, anything on your side? Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Farnsworth. And next we have our Governmental and Community Relations Committee. Mr. Lee.
So I'm continuing to try and get a meeting set up with our county administrator and county CFO to kind of close the loop on the whole planning process for the budget, so that, you know, the experience that we had preparing for this year's budget, we can improve as we go through and prepare for the 27-28 budget next year. So I continue to work towards that. We had a meeting at 3 o'clock today, joint with the DD4 school districts as well, to talk about the 1% education capital sales tax, and, you know, what the boards can and cannot do, should and should not do. So we're continuing to try and engage with other governmental entities and whatnot, and working on putting together some additional meetings, which we have not made as much progress on that as I would have liked to, but that's on me at this point. But still trying to get a meeting set up with our county administrator and our county CFO. Ms. Bates, anything you want to add?
No, thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Lee. Okay, that concludes our board committee reports. Next, we have our board chairs report, and we do have a few dates just as a reminder for you all. We have our SCSBA School Law Conference coming up this weekend. I'm looking forward to seeing some of you there. We also have a couple different SCSBA meetings for this fall listed. If you're interested in attending those, please let Wanda know. She will get you registered. And then we have our academic awards for our 3 high schools listed on here as well. So please make a note of those on your calendar and plan to attend. Those are always excellent celebrations to be a part of. So, any questions? All right. Then we will continue on, and our next item on our agenda is our superintendent's report. So we will let Mr. Doherty take it over.
All right, thank you, Dr. Wimberly and the rest of the board members. This evening, we have several items on our superintendent's report, and our first item is our Tier 1 behavior supports information. And so tonight, we have Ms. Galia Mercer-Brown, our Director of Counseling Services, to kind of tell you a little bit about our counseling program, especially Tier 1. And when we talk about Tier 1 services, that means it's servicing 80% of our students when you're looking at that. And so, and then Tier 2 would be 15%, and then the other one, you're looking at the 5% on Tier 3. So again, she's just going to touch base on really Tier 1, what we do for all students. So I'll turn it over to Ms. Galia Brown.
Good evening, Dr. Wimberly, Mr. Doherty, and members of the board. It is my pleasure tonight to give you an overview of the Tier 1 supports that our school counselors are utilizing and implementing in our buildings. There has been a major shift from the State Department of Education in that the school counseling standards were updated this summer, and as a result, we looked at the profile of the SC graduate as well as the 3 focus areas of the updates of those standards to identify how we would tackle and approach Tier 1 as it pertains to school counseling in DD2. So in front of you, you see the 3 primary areas that the State Department of Education have outlined that school counselors should be implementing, to include learning to learn, which aligns with the world-class knowledge of a profile of the SC graduate, learning to work, which aligns with world-class skills in the SC profile graduate outline, and then learning to live, which aligns with the life and career characteristics. So when we think about school counseling, a lot of times we think about how they may support students that are experiencing challenges. However, our school counselors deal with all 3 of these perspectives and what they do deal with on a day-to-day basis. So as Mr. Doherty stated, this is our universal approach in how we can be proactive in the experiences that we are providing all of our students. So whenever we look at Tier 1, we will provide an overview of some examples today. However, Tier 2 and Tier 3 will be more targeted and intensive, but we will highlight the universal ones tonight, okay? So as I stated, learning to learn is the first primary area that school counselors will focus on as we look at our role within the K-12 setting. So we look at that profile of an SC graduate and look at how we can provide students with the world-class knowledge. So it can vary, and we look at developmentally appropriateness of our activities. So the examples that we have provided for the elementary would include goal setting, because ultimately we want students to develop skills and habits to help with problem solving, critical thinking, and developing study habits such as organization and time management skills. So at the elementary level, the goal setting instruction is where we're going to start, helping students identify how they can best approach their learning in ways that can not only impact their ability to learn, but also work as well as live. At the middle school level, we work on learning style inventory so students can understand how they best learn. So classroom instruction will be provided on students completing those assessments, looking at the categories that they fall in, and identifying the best and most appropriate strategies based on that. And then at the high school level, under the Learning to Learn, we provide post-secondary days. Many of you all have participated or attended college application days, direct employment days where we've had business and industry come in, provide interviews, offer jobs on the spot to some of our students that may need valuable options, as well as offer ASVAB testing for our students that are interested in going directly into the military and providing support in obtaining those scores to achieve the level and status within the military branch that they desire to enlist. Learning to work aligns again with the world-class skills, and we want to make sure students are able to communicate clearly, build positive and supportive relationships, demonstrate compassion, integrity, and lead teams. How can we develop those leadership skills within the world of work? So you have some examples here for elementary, and we break elementary up in lower as well as upper because career vehicle days would be more advantageous for our littles. And then student-led career fairs where students are actually going beyond canned speeches, talking about career interests that they have, talking about careers. We've even had parents come in to assist with that at some of our schools, and we're trying to expand that particular initiative this year. At the middle school level, that's more exploratory, so that's another career interest inventory or assessment where students identify what career clusters may be ideal for them and learn about careers that they may not have even had any exposure to because there are constantly ever-changing careers and employment opportunities that are developing on a day-to-day basis. At the high school level, we have individualized graduation plans. We have coined them IGPs for individuals that have secondary students. And within those particular meetings, students are able to meet with their families and their school counselors to talk about their career aspirations, talk about the goal setting to a further degree, to look at what their plans can associate to regarding the strategies and steps to get there, as well as making sure course alignment currently in high school is supporting those plans moving forward. Learning to live is where we're going to talk about the world of work. So whenever we look at, learning to learn is where we're going to talk about the social, emotional, personal, social skills that we want the students to develop, like healthy coping skills, persistence, safety, establishing boundaries, things of that nature. So when we look at this particular one, it's not necessarily grouped based on individual levels. It's more so looking at it from a systems perspective. So you'll see Kindness Day as at the elementary, middle, and high. You'll see Red Ribbon Week, where we're talking about responsible decision making and healthy choices at the elementary, middle, as well as the high school level. And another thing that we address dealing with one of our state mandates is the Aaron's Law and the Gavin's Law instruction that we're required to provide all students in grades K-12 to talk about personal body safety and understanding things such as the legalities behind sextortion and how to make responsible decision makings as it pertains to those topics in age and developmentally appropriate ways. So when we look at the school counseling department as a whole from a Tier 1 perspective, we want to make sure that our students understand the importance of being a lifelong learner, being able to have valuable options whenever they graduate, and having those transition and developmental skills to cope with whatever they're presented with on a day-to-day basis. So from a Tier 1 perspective, that is our opportunity to be intentional in our efforts of supporting our students to have an overarching level of student success as it pertains to school, work, and life as a whole. So we want to make sure students have the ability to regulate, have some level of insight regarding their self-awareness, critical thinking skills, collaboration, and also the ability to connect with others that they have daily interactions with. So ultimately, whenever we look at it from a tiered perspective, that is our goal for all of our students. We do understand that some of them may need additional targeted or more intensive supports based on their needs. So that's where our data-informed counseling comes into play. So we look at things such as attendance, behavior, as well as achievement data to identify those groups that we may want to be more targeted on, get input from families moving forward, in their consent to those Tier 2 and Tier 3 supports. But for tonight's purposes, we wanted to make sure that you had an overview of the updates as it pertains to the standards and the skills benchmarks from the State Department of Education, and to ensure that we are in alignment with those 3 categories based on the profile of an SC graduate. Are there any questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Galia Brown. Thank you so much. Our next item on the agenda is kind of a recap on our board retreat, and what you have in front of you is kind of highlighted in green some of our goals that we've kind of changed when we were there. We also talked about curriculum instruction. You were able to listen to our curriculum instruction department and talk about our high-quality instructional materials. Also, how we adopt materials. That was discussed as well. And also we talked about a little bit of the Chromebooks in the elementary schools, how those are being used and used for using purposely, and making sure that our students are producing things rather than just consuming. And so those are things that we will be studying and taking very seriously this school year. Also, we talked a little bit about safety and security update, and then we did Airmark Food Service. We talked about the meal counts and how breakfast We had served almost 1,273 breakfasts for the 25-26 school year, up almost 22%. And then for lunch, we were up 2,400, a lot of lunches, almost plus 16% there. So again, our students eat for free for breakfast and lunch. And again, that program is something that we are seeing a lot of benefit, especially in the classroom. The students are having breakfast and also lunch. We also talked a little bit about the update, how our first year went for Airmark and some of those deliverables. And I know our teachers are now still eating free, and all our staff are still going to be eating free 1 day a week. And so we talked about that, and also how to increase student engagement events. I know we did the chef. We talked about doing the chef for the day, and they'll do a contest there. And then again, talked a little bit about, and the last thing I think we talked about talked about a lot of things, but then also reviewed the goals. And we also had Assembly training, which is our new software using for board docs, replacing that. But you can kind of see where our board goals are. Again, when you look at, there were 3 areas that are highlighted in green. Those are future planning, engagement, and comprehensive financial planning. And you can see where we have changed some areas in green. For example, in future planning, strategic manage district growth by aligning resources, staffing, facilities, and services to ensure equitable access and opportunities for all students in schools. The other one we changed was strengthen and continuously monitor district-wide technology governance framework to improve strategic management and accountability, security, and effectiveness use of technology across the district. And then going on that same one on future planning, we talked about AI task force will evaluate comprehensive AI policies and procedures that will promote safe and ethical use in the district. And that's going to be continually having the AI task force, again, that's dusted off again and looking at those policies and hopefully bring something to the board at the end of this year. But again, we're constantly reviewing that as AI constantly changes each and every day. So, and then going to 8, engagement, strengthening partnerships with local and state government agencies, home builders, and realtors to support strategic district growth and community needs. I think that's shown in our board meeting with our governance committees that we have by the board. We're reaching out as well. And also we've been reaching out to home builders and realtors when there is areas where we see that potential new build. As you know, with engagement, there's supposed to be 16,000 new homes that are coming online in the Rock 6 area. We know that with over the next 10-year period. Again, having meetings with those people so we can have sites for possibly new schools on land there. And then the other one on financial planning, comprehensive there, was develop and present an annual balanced budget that addresses operational, capital, and school debt. I think we talked a lot about that tonight in our finance meeting and also in our facilities, coming up with a 3 to 5 year plan that talks about our 8% dollars, our SCAGO bonds. We're looking at the referendum, possible penny sales tax, and then also possible school fees that would be administered to the new home builds. So, and then going down the last one, develop and maintain a 5-year capital projects plan is kind of what we talked about. Again, reflect changing needs and priorities. Those change quite frequently, and you'll hear that tonight. We do serve, we have over 3,000 air conditioning units, and a lot of those were highly tested this past week, and had a lot of those that kind of went up on the list on some of our buildings. And so we meet Mondays, and that list continues to change. But again, priorities, and we just chip away at that list. And so I think talking with the board and looking at these areas, I think this addresses a lot of the things, the challenges that we have throughout the district. And again, these are things that we will monitor very closely. So I open this up to the board for any questions, thoughts that they had on the day as well.
Yeah, piggybacking on a comment that you made there, the numbers in new housing, been hearing about it for quite some time. My ears have almost gotten a little bit dull until the latest update you just gave me. I just want to make sure, I feel like Columbo. Do I understand this correctly? We know as of, it's either August of this year or August of 2021, I wasn't sure from the update, but between the town and the county, 11,000 homes. Does that include the Yerby?
The county, yes, that does include the Yerby, yes.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
so regardless, the Rock 6 was another, 16,000 homes. So we're looking between 29 and 31,000 homes over what planning horizon, the next 5 to 7 years?
Probably about 15 years. You know, the Yerby tract has got 1,600 homes. And again, you know, the board is purposefully, when we, really when we're looking at that development with the Army Corps of Engineers, we had to pivot on that. And so, you know, we talked a lot about Knightsville and adding 40 brand new classrooms. The age of that building, I believe, is 1932. We talked about that. And so, and then adding on to Reeves, so that will address the Yerby tract area. But going back what you just said, Mr. Lee, is, you know, when you look out there in the area of Rock 6, which is off of 17 Old Beach Hill Road and 61, you know, you're going to have some retirement homes there as well, which will not bring in children. So when you look at that, you're probably thinking another 12, so probably 24,000 homes that could be childbearing homes in that area. So we just don't know what that's going to look like. We just received information there off of 61 and 17 that there's a super Walmart that's going in that. So again, we're hearing Nexon 2.0, but I think that's going to be out over a 10 to 15 year cycle. So the district has been at the table with Rock 6. We did meet with that developer, trying to get some acreage and land there to be donated in that area for a possible another school site. And so you're exactly right. It is. It's scary to think about when they're going to come online and how to prepare for it. But I think this board has done a great job of working with us as trying to capture land out there off Delmar Highway for a middle school, and then also if we could capture, it could be a K-8 campus. So, and then trying to capture some more land there in that new development, Rock 6. So,
yeah, the numbers never go down. But thank you.
Any other thoughts or questions from the board members?
I was just gonna, you said if there was anything we wanted to highlight, so I just wanted to thank you guys for your intentionality on addressing like the tech and AI use. I know there was a lot of good discussion around that, as well as I know there's some conversation in the community with that, so it would be a good thing to go back and watch just to get that information and maybe more in-depth look on our best practices, what we're doing already, how much the district is very intentional with monitoring that time. And again, what we're going to do to continue to improve. Because, I mean, while I always appreciate what the district does, and I think we do a great job at a lot of this stuff, we're always trying to be better and better than we were yesterday. And I appreciate that about you and your team. And Ms. Barker, she just did a really good job getting in depth with that so that parents can better understand how this technology is being used, how we're protecting their kids with technology use, as well as just how we utilize it as a tool and not overutilize it, and how you guys are continuing to observe that, monitor that, and ensure that those are consistent across the district. So I really appreciated the discussion and just the information. I think it's good for any parent who wants to know more about technology use.
No, just kind of piggyback on that. You know, a first grade classroom today over at Flowertown today, and was observing some phonemic awareness, teaching phonics, and again, no devices used. Students were standing up, doing body mapping, how to understand the vowel sounds, and so it was pretty neat to see. And so again, you know, we are monitoring that. We've actually kind of made a change where we said K-1 students don't actually have to take the devices home. That will be something left up with teachers. And again, we do have to have those devices one-to-one if we're going to be an e-learning district. And so we know that they're not going to use those devices every day. So we've made that decision to be able to give the teachers a little bit of autonomy to be able to do that. So great discussions by our principals and our curriculum team. Okay, moving on to our next item. Tonight we have Mr. Jay Lombardo here from our CART, our Citizens Advisory Review Team, and also Mr. James Weaver. They sit on here on our CART committee, and they look at our referendum projects to make sure we are staying the course. And I really appreciate Mr. Lombardo and James for being here, and we're able to take a tour of Ashley Ridge's new facilities. And so I'll just turn it over to Mr. Lombardo.
Dr. Wembley, board members, Superintendent Doherty, thank you very much. We had our quarterly CART meeting on August 12th at Ashley Ridge High School. And then we had a wonderful tour of the facility on the new build for the weight room and the band room. Fantastic, utterly fantastic. The CART met with, although Tony wasn't there, met with his team of Jeff, Kenny, and Jonathan from the district facility sections. And they gave us a clear and concise briefing on the update to the school projects, included on our master project list. At the start of our reporting period, the master project list included 74 projects. Of those, 41 have been completed, 25 remain in progress, and 8 have advanced to a punch list stage. Classroom projects at Somerville Elementary School, Ashley Ridge High School were completed in time to welcome the students for the first day of school. The CART was also briefed on the planned additions at Niceville Elementary and William Reeves Elementary Schools, which remain on target and may help address the enrollment pressures due to the Yarby track issue. As of this update, the CART is still not tracking any movement on the delays affecting the Ponds Elementary. Superintendent Doherty provided information regarding the upcoming sales tax referendum and potential use for those funds, including possibility to purchase property for new schools. Superintendent Doherty and the district staff also provided additional information about student counts and possible options to address facilities needed in areas throughout the district. The CART is also made aware of facility concerns outside the scope of the referendum, including tennis courts at Somerville High and proposed conversion of the Span Elementary School into an adult center, an education center. Overall, the CART recognizes the significant challenges facing the district. We once again encourage parents and community members to contact their county council representatives to share comments concerning the impact of student growth on the district facilities, operational costs, as well as the continued delay affecting the Ponds Elementary School. If you have any other questions.
No, I just appreciate you, Mr. Lombardo, and your team, and we enjoy coming to those meetings and get to show off and all the projects and progress we do. And you guys ask great questions, and to our team. But I just want to say thank you for your leadership and with the CART, because it's gone really well, and you guys had a lot of great things to ask to us, especially when we looked at Knightsville and how we were going to address that with the Yerby tract. And so it's been a good partnership, and I appreciate what you guys do for us.
Thank you very much. Our next meeting will be on December, and we will then report either at a December board or maybe a January board. Hopefully we'll get some more information by then. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And now we'll have this evening, Ms. Tina Meunier will come up and talk about the financial report. So, Ms. Meunier.
Good evening, board members, Madam Chair, and Mr. Doherty. This evening, the finance team has prepared our July 2026 financial reports. We're already into our new fiscal year, so we're starting on the left-hand side, and we'll continue for our columns every month. So this is our report that shows our cash flow analysis. We don't have a lot of activity showing in the month of July because our contracts for teaching staff and instructional folks run from from August till the following July. So the July payments for the teachers and instructional staff went back to the prior year. So it doesn't look like we have a lot of expenditures. We did still pay them. It's just not reflected in July because it was in June. It was accrued back. We also are showing our revenues for the month of July. We did receive a 13th month payment, which again was accrued back into the prior year. So can show you some better comparison reports, since they'll show you that we are, sorry, I have the clicker right here. So for our balance sheet and our Schedule of revenues, expenditures, and changes in fund balance. We are comparing July 2026 to July of 2025, and we are right in alignment with where we were in the prior year. I've highlighted in blue the fund balance at the beginning of the year for July of 26 because we're still working on some closing entries into last year that will affect that beginning balance. So we'll be able to bring a tighter number to you coming soon. On our revenues, expenditures report. Again, we don't have a lot of funds that we're showing in this first month, but you can see we're right on track as a percentage of the total revenues for this month. We're right on track with last year at the same time, and for our expenditures as well. The percentage is the same. The dollars went up because our total budget went up, but the percentage still remains the same. A couple of areas that we wanted to make sure to point out in this general fund revenue overview is if you look under our state revenue, the state aid to classrooms number. Last year at this time, we received $10.438 million, and this year we received $10.45 million, which is a little off sounding because we got more state aid to classroom money. However, the budget has not been approved yet at the state level. The General Assembly is expected to come back tomorrow. The House is going to meet and the Senate's going to meet, and hopefully they can agree and get it to the governor. So right now they're working on a continuing resolution. So we received the same amount of funding in our state funds from last year. So that was one of the items on our cash flow statement that you could see for July and August. Since it hasn't passed yet, we received the same amount, but we should get a catch-up amount for the remainder of the year. Also, there is a new line item for the EIA portion for the CTE funding, and that has not been paid out yet either. So more state revenue to come. For our expenditures, the percentages, as you saw, were right in line with last year. Just to dive down a little bit deeper, there was just one area that showed that it was a little bit higher than last year. It's because we paid our first quarterly payment for our insurance, and last year we didn't pay it until August. So this year we paid it in July, so it shows a little different percentage there. And this is our fund balance overview. You can see where we have included, Mr. Lee, the green line that's going straight across is the board's goal of the 18%. To have 18% is what we would like, 18% of current year budget in our fund balance, just in case anything happens and we have a hurricane. It's not going to happen, but if we don't get our state funding and we needed to go into our cash reserves, we would have enough funding to be able to pay our folks. And so that's something very important, especially us here on the coast, to have a good, healthy fund balance. So as you can see, though, at sometimes during the year, we do dip below the 18%, but overall, we will end up over 18% at the end of the year. So very good for us. We're in very good shape with our general fund balance. So those were our reports that we were presenting this evening for information. If anyone has any questions. All right, thank you. I think we have some more finance stuff, Mr. Doherty, if you need me to.
Yes, and I want to continue, Ms. Meunier, about the banking services request.
Okay, thank you for this opportunity. We spoke with the Finance Committee back in the spring about issuing a solicitation for banking services. It's always a good idea to just have your bankers bring their sharp pencils to the table and see if there are any enhancements that they could improve upon. So we did some investigating, got a new solicitation in order in June 3rd. We posted that. The respondents had until June 25th with questions. We submitted answers, and their final submission was July 8th. We received 7 proposals. We had an evaluation committee, which was made up of representatives from schools, departments, and our finance team. So we gathered to score based on the criteria that's shown on the right for experience and expertise in providing banking services,
qualifications and experience, efficiency of proposed deposit services. That was something big that we really wanted to work on this year because when folks are trying to go to the bank during the middle of the day, there's a lot of traffic, and we're just trying to come up with some alternate ways to get our money to the bank. Value of investment services was also part of our criteria, and then we scored the cost. That was the last item that was scored. So we reached out to the vendors one more time and said, give us your best and final. And then the evaluation committee met one final time and recommended to the superintendent to bring to the board the institution that was able to provide the best value in terms of cost and earnings while providing strategies for enhancing processes for our district.
And Ms. Meunier, I do have a question for you. And that's a 5-year contract, correct?
Yes, and I wanted to bring some clarifying, thank you, Mr. Doherty. So we have a 5-year contract, and we can notify the financial institution within 30 days prior to our contract anniversary each year if we didn't want to continue. And also, we have an option to terminate the contract for default or convenience at any time.
All right, thank you, Ms. Meunier. Board members, at this time, I would ask for a motion to approve the banking services RFP as presented in our packet.
So moved.
Motion made by Mr. Lee. Seconded by Mr. Farnsworth. Any questions or discussion?
I would just comment that the process that was followed had discipline and rigor. I was really pleased to hear about how it was conducted and whatnot. And this is going to result in savings for the district as well as increased better services and opportunities for us. So it's a good thing that was done, and appreciate the hard work that was done by the evaluation committee and everyone else as well.
Thank you, Mr. Lee. Any other questions or comments? All right, at this time, we will call for the vote. Motion carries 7 in favor.
We have a few other items here. These items were also discussed in our Finance Committee meeting as well. And so Ms. Meunier has several items to talk about here. Would be our motion to approve the SCAGO resolution for 8% funding. And Ms. Meunier, could you talk a little bit of details about that?
Yes, sir. So we have been involved with this SCAGO program for several years, since I've been here for 16 years. This is a concerted effort between districts across the state with the South Carolina Association of Governmental Organizations. And 31 districts this year are participating in this program. And when you have a combined bond issuance, you have fewer fees, fewer costs for your financial advisor and for the attorneys, and you get a better interest rate. So this year, we are asking for a motion to, I was looking for the motion, issue up to $50 million, authorizing the issuance and sale of not exceeding $50 million in general obligation bonds in one or more series in 1 or more years with appropriate series designations, including a tax-exempt series and a taxable series if appropriate, for Dorchester School District 2. And these bonds are to be used for 4 of our bond payments and also for the $33 million for our capital projects that we had listed that Mr. Lee had described earlier are not part of the penny sales tax that we had provided in that listing. These are for some other smaller projects and for some furniture, fixtures, and various other equipment. And these are short-term bonds, and we pay these off every spring.
All right, thank you, Ms. Meunier. Board members, at this time, I'd ask for a motion to approve the SCAGO resolution for the 8% funding as presented.
So moved.
Motion made by Mr. Lee. Seconded by Ms. Bates. Any questions or discussion?
Again, I would just point out, if you didn't watch the Finance Committee meeting and you want to learn a little bit more about that, we went through an exhaustive conversation in relating not only the projects that would be done through the proceeds from the bond, but also understanding the bond process and what it means, what it doesn't mean. With all of the information out there about the various things that we have needs, deferred maintenance and everything else, these are all legitimate needs that we need to address as a district to be good stewards of the facilities and things that we have, and to use the resources that we have available. We don't have enough resources to do everything that we need, but the resources we have available, we want to be good stewards with that. And so if you did not attend the previous meeting, I encourage you to go back and watch it. It was informational. It was a good conversation, and I appreciate the district and your team for spending that time making sure that everything was clearly understood.
Thank you, Mr. Lee.
Super quickly, and I just want to address, because I see it a lot on, we'll say, social media, and I think folks tend to see the district that we just get one pot of money and it can all just be for everything. And so I just want to address that head on, that is very, very, very much not the case. The vast majority, I don't know that I could put a percentage on, but the vast majority of our funding has very specific, we'll say, strings attached, buckets that it can be used for. The two largest buckets that I think, again, are very common misnomer out in the community are operations, instructional costs versus capital costs. And those two buckets are very, very, very different, and those monies are split very differently. And so these SCAGO bonds are a way for us to help with our capital needs. And so again, so I just want to address that, and we see that in the community. We want to make sure folks are as educated as possible. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Farnsworth. Any other comments or questions? All right, hearing none, we will call for the vote. All right, the motion carries 7 in favor.
Okay, we'll stay with Ms. Meunier again, and these next two action items tonight, one, they both deal with Knightsville Elementary for our school construction contract and also the architect. So I'll turn that over to Ms. Meunier.
Actually, we have it's a little different. We have the Windsor Hill paving project that we were going to vote on this evening. That is for, for the asphalt and paving services to repave the parking lot and the driveways at the entire school. That is separate from the Knightsville one if we wanted to do that one first.
Yes, okay, thank you, Ms. Meunier. So, board members, at this time, I would ask for a motion to approve the paving project for Windsor Hill Arts Infused Elementary School as presented.
So moved.
Motion made by Mr. Lee.
Second.
Seconded by Ms. Bates. Any questions or discussion? All right, hearing none, we will call for the vote. Ms. Powell's didn't pop up.
Mine didn't either yet.
Oh, no, okay. We'll hold off for a second then. Or we could just do a hand vote. All in favor?
Oh, there mine goes.
Okay, there it goes now. Came up again.
Did yours pop
Looks,
up?
yeah, yes, it did again. All right, looks like everyone was in favor, 7 in favor, so the motion does carry.
Mr. Doherty, I apologize, I didn't change this slide. We were not able to get the school construction contract this time. They did not have it quite ready for us, and we had asked in the Facilities and Finance Committee if we could bring that at the next board meeting. We don't have another Facilities or Finance Committee meeting, but we wanted to keep that project going, but they just didn't have it quite ready. But we did want to bring the Knightsville Elementary School architect contract for all of the designs that we discussed earlier in the committee meeting.
All right, thank you, Ms. Meunier. Board members, at this time, I would ask for a motion to approve the Knightsville Elementary School architect contract as presented.
So moved.
Motion made by Mr. Lee, seconded by Ms. Powell. Any questions or discussion? All right, hearing none, we will call for the vote.
Did yours pop up?
Ms. Powell?
Yes?
She's recorded.
Ms. Bates's has not popped up yet.
You're down for a yes?
Oh, I do vote yes.
Okay. All right, the motion carries 7 in favor.
Thank you all very much. That was a lot of finance. I appreciate y'all.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Meunier. And so now we'll have up Mr. Jeff Smith, Director of Facilities, and also Mr. Tony Souls, talk about some of our projects. And so,
Madam Chairman, if I could, not to interrupt, lest anybody think I was just in the mood to spend a whole lot of money tonight, that was not the case. This has been a process to go through, not only from just the operational budget and planning, but getting our arms around all these capital needs and seeing the hoops that folks jump through to try and get these things to us in a timely manner so we can keep things moving. There's an aspect of our budgeting, I won't go into detail tonight, but because things aren't moving as fast as they should, our hands are tied in areas of investments and fees that we pay and stuff. It's not a good use of the money, but there's nothing the district can do about it. So I'm excited, these things that came up tonight, particularly around Knightsville Elementary, all sorts of great things that are going to happen there. That to me is a success story of making lemonade out of lemons as to what we were trying to do with the referendum. And then some of these other projects that are so desperately needed. So I just want to commend the district and Mr. Doherty, your team, for making all that happen.
well, thank you. And a big thanks goes out to Tony and Jeff and Kenny and Tina and also Rhonda and Lisa and Ashley, because we meet every Monday. And as we've talked about several times, this list kind of changes sometimes, especially when we had the heat wave. Some of the things changed dramatically with some of the air conditionings of over, the 3,000 that we do serve. So again, I want to thank Jeff and Tony, as Jeff was up on, I believe, Knightsville, 8 o'clock at night one night, on not Knightsville, but Flowertown and Newington, trying to reset those units to make sure that the classrooms were cooled effectively. So we appreciate all the work he and his team have done. They've done a phenomenal job. So I'll turn it over to Tony.
Good evening, Madam Chair, Mr. Doherty, members of the board. A quick rundown on the referendum projects. The elementary school, the Ponds, we're still awaiting conveyance there. The Somerville Elementary addition is complete. The kids are in it. Everybody's enjoying that space. Over at Somerville High School, we have broke ground. There's retention pond is completed. The stormwater structures are going in place, and some other subgrade utilities are going in. We've got a meeting over there tomorrow, progress meeting over there tomorrow, and we should hope to find the schedule. We'll have a better handle on the schedule after tomorrow's meeting with everything that goes along with that. The next slide would be the Ashley Ridge projects, the additions and renovations at the school. They're complete. We've got a little bit of paperwork to clean up, and we'll get the approval on those. The Ashley Ridge Car Rider Loop upgrade, that was kind of one of those projects that was born out of necessity for building permits. The paving is done. There's some repairs that need to be made, some punch list items that in some of those areas. Fort Dorchester High School, the classroom addition, and we're building a weight room out there, 5,000 square foot weight room. We're waiting on the contract execution from that. And at Niceville Elementary, we've actually started some things at Niceville. We put the fencing in place. We are continuing the utility locates. The site prep is being done. The permitting process is going on right now with the stormwater permits, the building permits, and all the permits that we have to, all those hoops that we have to jump through to get started. We're kind of getting things done that we can get done in preparation for demolition and construction over there. The construction documents should be 100% and finalized somewhere around the end of this month, hopefully by the end of this week, by the end of next week for sure. Other capital projects out at Oak Brook, we've been talking about the additions of Oak Brook Middle and Oak Brook Elementary for entirely too long. But we've finally come to a point where the bidirectional amplifier has been installed on campus, has been inspected by the third party this past Friday, and we're now just waiting for some paperwork to get to the Office of the State Fire Marshal for him to schedule some time to come out and inspect it for what they inspect for. And the bus maintenance facility, the picture there on the right, where the shell is nearing completion, the interior walls are going up, and some of the paint was going to happen this past weekend. The build out is underway. We're hoping for completion around the end of September. There is a delay on the roll-up doors for the two big openings that you see there in the picture. It was spec'd with some like garage type doors that we felt that it may not be sufficient for that size of a facility and the winds that for a door that size. So we went with the roll-up doors. We'll have to deal with the delays. But that one, we should be wrapping that up somewhere around the end of September, mid-October. Any questions about any of those projects that we're doing? All the new construction. More to follow.
Thank you, Tony. And now we'll have Jeff Smith, our Director of Facilities, come up.
One slide tonight, very, very brief. First, I just want to say thanks to all our maintenance folks, because whenever it's 100 degrees outside, they're the ones that are up there on the roof that's 115, fixing those air conditioning units outside, working on playground equipment that may have broken, or, we do all of our own athletic fields. They're out there cutting the grass, every day out there. They come in about 5:30 in the morning so they can try to beat the heat a little bit, but they're the ones that do all this work. And, if you see them out there, orange shirts, give them a thank you if you don't mind. They'd really appreciate that. Since the first day of say, staff back, we have received 2,300 work orders. That was as of Friday. And of those, 1,790 were completed. And as an example, I think we had 152 that came in those last Thursday and Friday. So a lot of work orders this time of year, a lot of people getting back into buildings. A lot of things you don't see, because when we're in the summertime, the buildings aren't loaded down with students and staff. When they get in there with a load, that's when we actually start seeing are our HVAC units actually working properly. So surprisingly, we haven't had any more work orders this year than we did last year for HVAC. I would say we've had more like temperature requests, like my room's a little too warm, and a lot of that's attributed to the fact that if you go to Somerville High School and the units are made in 1996, they have a little bit of trouble keeping up with the temperatures outside. So they might not get you down to 72 degrees, but they'll try to keep you at 76, 77, somewhere in that range. So asking a lot of our equipment this time of year, just like everybody, anybody, you're asking a lot of your equipment with this type of weather. Couple updates. The only active roofing project we have going on right now is Gregg Middle School. They finished tearing off all the roofing of the last building. They're going to finish all that work in the next 6 weeks after hours, so they're not going to work during school. And then the Ashley Ridge track, they finished actually the event work, so now they're starting to work on the actual track itself. So that's still on progress. Of course, our favorite word, unsuitable soil. I got an email right before this meeting, said that they hit some unsuitable soil. I've got some pictures of the concrete truck sinking down into the track. So obviously we have some things that we planned for, but we always think we're going to get away without any unsuitable soil, but it always ends up being right there. other than that, since that got approved 8%, my job's getting ready to kick off into high gear, getting all this stuff ready for the next year. I don't have anything else unless anybody has any questions.
One more slide.
Oh, one more slide?
One more slide.
Really? Oh, sorry. These are projects that are going to be coming up soon, referendum projects. We've got the designs done, and I know Ms. Cash is working on bid dates. I think the first ones to go will be Eagle Nest and River Oaks. They're going to be an exterior wall and roofing project, and then the other ones will follow right after that. Tennis courts. So we are uploaded into OSF. We're being reviewed by OSF actively. All of our permitting has been submitted, so we're expecting to be able to put that project out for bid the end of September. So we can hopefully have an award date sometime in October and start construction late October, early November. So that's still moving ahead as planned. We had a TRC review and they had virtually no comments at all about that project, so everything's looking good on that end. And then, like I said, we're going to start planning for the 26, 27, 8% funding.
Any questions from the board? Thank you, Jeff, and your team. We appreciate all your work. You've done a phenomenal job. And then the last two items, Dr. Wimberly?
All right, board members, the next two items are the personnel report and student enrollment recommendations. We will begin with the personnel report. We did receive this information in our packet. Is everyone okay to proceed in open session? All right, so then at this time, I would ask for a motion to approve the personnel report as presented.
So moved.
Motion made by Mr. Guthrie, seconded by Ms. King. Any questions or discussion? All right, hearing none, we will call for the vote. I think she's voting right now. All right, the motion carries 7 in favor. All right, next we have our student enrollment recommendations. Is everyone okay to proceed with this in open session? All right, at this time, I would ask for a motion to approve the student enrollment recommendations as presented. Motion made by Mr. Farnsworth.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Guthrie. Any questions or discussion? Hearing none, we will call for the vote. All right, we will do a voice vote for this. All in favor? Okay, motion carries 7 in favor. All right, thank you, Mr. Doherty.
Thank you.
All right, we will continue with our agenda. The next item is our public comments. We do have one this evening. Mr. Buck Burke.
First, thank you for your time and service to our community and specifically the education and safety of our children. Forgive me as I get through this. Our family's been through quite the weekend. Hopefully all or most of you have read a detailed account of our situation during and after school dismissal this past Friday afternoon, August 21st. Our 5-year-old daughter is a new student in the 5K program at Joseph Pye Elementary and rides our daycare's bus to the after-school program every afternoon. She was allowed to walk down a hallway unsupervised to her dismissal area, where she was then loaded onto a bus unsupervised and not scanned in as protocol requires. After multiple informative phone calls from our daycare, the next call came around 3:15 from yet again the daycare. The first words I heard were relief. She's been found and picked up. Then it hit me, the word found meant she'd truly been lost. She'd followed a new friend home from class and onto that neighborhood's bus. She was dropped miles away from anything recognizable for her again without being scanned and no guardian at the stop. Thankfully, a concerned parent noticed and made the right call. I called the school, who had had their hands full with 3 other children who were loaded on the wrong bus just the same day. I eventually spoke with administration around 3:30 p.m., more than an hour after she'd been lost, who then let me know all the information they had, mostly referring to cameras. Meanwhile, my wife had driven up to the school. Her main encounter was with an administrator who subjectively seemed passive and certainly didn't welcome her into the door to have a discussion. When asked why we may not have heard from anyone, the next words my wife heard has cost us sleep and will continue to do so. Next time this happens, you'll be the first phone call. I can imagine getting my words mixed up in such a terrible situation, but that will stick with our family for a long, long time. There's more to the story, and I will run out of time. We've received good communication from a few of you, other members of the county, the school, regarding new protocol that was effective today. The reason I'm coming to you this evening, confident you'll do the right thing, is because we are the families you represent. My wife and I met in this building at Rawlings Elementary 33 years ago. Sorry. We slow danced at a safe distance in that gym to Boys to Men. Sorry, I'll have to skip a good bit. The last I stood in front of this board, I was a rising 8th grader in 1997. The middle school lines were being redrawn, and I was being sent to a school across town. No one listened, and rightly so. I was just a kid trying to hang out with his friends, not unlike our daughter Friday afternoon. This cannot have the same result. I urge you to take action and accountability for how our community has been failed by something as important and crucial as safety protocol for our students. I'll leave you with one open-ended comment before I go. Loco parentis. It means in the place of a parent. It's the Latin and legal term used in South Carolina to describe a legal duty where a person or group, such as schools and teachers, takes care, control, and basic responsibilities of a child without formal adoption. Thank you again for your time, service, and attention to this matter. We look forward to your response.
Thank you, Mr. Burt. All right, board members, the next item on our agenda is our executive session. At this time, I would ask for a motion to convene into executive session for student enrollment recommendations.
So moved.
Motion made by Mr. Lee, seconded by Mr. Guthrie. Any questions or discussion? Hearing none, we will call for the vote. Motion carries 7 in favor. We are in executive session and we will return. I would ask for a motion to return to open session. Motion made by Ms. Bates, seconded by Ms. Powell. Any questions or discussion? Hearing none, we will call for the vote. All in favor? Motion carries 7 in favor. All right, board members, at this time, I would ask for any action required from our executive session. Thank you, Mr. Farnsworth. Do I have a second? Seconded by Ms. King. Any questions or discussion? Hearing none, we will call for the vote. All in favor? Motion carries 7 in favor. Board members, at this time, I would ask for a motion to adjourn. Motion made by Ms. Bates, seconded by Ms. King. Any questions or discussion? Hearing none, we will call for the vote. All in favor? Motion carries 7 in favor. We are adjourned.